Mic's on. Okay.
One, two. All right, it's 29 minutes past 9. We are ready to start the day's proceedings. Please make sure that your cell phones, your devices are on silent or off. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Today's witness is Mr. Len Barnabas John.
Good morning, Mr. John.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Will you be swearing or affirming?
Swearing, Commissioner.
Do you swear that the evidence you're going to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. I just want to check that you have the same files as me in front of you. So there should be a smallish file called witness statement.
That's correct.
And then a bundle of exhibits that runs to about 1,430 pages.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Perhaps, not that we do it consistently, Mr. Shaskelson, if perhaps you could just indicate for the record that we have stepped off, even if just for a while, the IDEC stream, and that we are starting on a new stream and you identify it.
Yes. Chair, we have indeed stepped off the IDAC stream. We'll step back on briefly on Friday. But Mr. John is going to be the first witness in relation to a topic dealing with gangs in the Greater Durban area and the possible police involvement in the activities of these gangs.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. John, we need you first to confirm the correctness of your statement, but before we do so, I know from our discussions that you need to correct certain of the figures that appear on page 27 and page 28.
That's correct, Commissioner.
And can you just take us through the correction, starting with 66.3.1? The figure there currently says 2,053,650 rands. What should that be corrected to?
Okay, it should be corrected to 2,343,050 rand. So 2034,350-20.
2034,350.
That's correct.
Then over the page on page 28, the aggregate figure at paragraph 66.4.
Yes.
What should that be corrected to?
The corrected figure is 24,14150.
And the figure at
Sorry,
page...
please say that again.
24,14150.
And the figure at page, in the next paragraph, 66.5?
The figure should read 27,12612. 27,12612.
And that, yes, subject to those corrections, do you confirm that the contents of your statement are true and correct?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Then can we start at page 1 of your statement, and can you describe to the Commission, as you do in the statement, who you are, what your job is, and how you came to be called into this Commission?
Okay, Commissioner, my full name is Len Barnabas John. I am an adult male and Deputy Director in the investigation that is attached to the Independent Police Investigative Directorate in KwaZulu-Natal, situated at the Marine Building, 22 Dorothy Nyembe Street, Durban. The contents of the statement are within my personal knowledge, save where the contrary appears from the context hereof, and are to the best of my belief both true and correct. Where I rely on information from other persons, I do indicate or the context so shows. Where I make reference to legal prescripts and conclusions therefrom, I do so based on my understanding of the legal prescripts, in particular the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Act 1 of 2011, the IPID Act, the South African Police Service Act, Act 68 of 1995, the SAPS Act, and the Criminal Procedure Act, Act 51 of 1997, the CPA Act.
Sorry, Mr. John, before we go further, if you go to page 36 of that same file, there is a document, will you, it's your curriculum vitae. Will you confirm that it's correct, and is there anything that you would want to highlight in relation to that curriculum vitae? I mean, you don't have to highlight anything. It's, it speaks for itself.
Yes, it speaks for itself. That's correct.
Then at page 2, paragraph 6, you speak about certain task teams. Can you just describe what they are and how they came under your attention?
Okay, the 3 task teams that have been identified has been implemented to combat crimes committed within the illicit drug industry, the cash-in-transit heist, and the taxi industry. And these task teams, the one task team was under Captain Dina Dayalan Govender, who is known as Dina. The second task team was Colonel Kalashwayo, and the third task team was under Captain Pedro Rodriguez. But Pedro Rodriguez worked interchangeable with the 3 task teams. These task teams came under our focus when we started to investigate the number of police killings under the hands of the police, which is investigated under the mandate of IPID, Section 28(1)B, which indicates that any deaths, IPID must investigate any deaths as a result of police action.
And
You said police killings, you meant killings by police?
Yes, police deaths as a result of police action.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And do you know how these task teams are constituted?
In fact, there's a very gray area on how these task teams are constituted. In the investigation, we've identified that the task team that was under the command of Colonel Kalashwayo was formed under the provincial commissioner, that is Lieutenant General Mkonazi. The task team that was under Dina Govender, Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender, there's a gray area. Contacted Brigadier Newswa. Brigadier Newswa indicated that the task team doesn't fall under him. So actually the task team, Brigadier Newswa indicated that the task team fell under Major General Sonoa or Lieutenant General Mgonazi. So I think the Lieutenant General Mgonazi will be able to give further details on how the task team was formed. Because on every shooting that took place with the task teams, majority of the shootings, Lieutenant General Mgonazi used to make press statements and address the press regarding those shootings. So our understanding is that the task teams fell under Lieutenant General Mgonazi.
And then the third one?
The third task team, as I indicated, that Pedro Rodriguez worked at the provincial level, and that task team would have fallen under Lieutenant General Mgonazi.
Now, you mention in paragraph 10 that your involvement flows from the fact that there's evidence that the task team regularly exceeds the bounds of Section 49 of the Criminal Procedure Act and seems to be involved in extrajudicial killing. We will get to that in more detail later. But I do want to emphasize the point in paragraph 11 that the Commission is not here to investigate extrajudicial killing. Maybe there should be a commission to investigate extrajudicial killing. That's not our terms of reference, but you explain in paragraph 11 why your investigations into the task teams are relevant to our terms of reference. And can you maybe read paragraph 11 and paragraph 12 into the record?
Okay. I have been advised that the terms of reference of the Commission do not extend to the investigation of extrajudicial killings by members of the SAPS per se. However, in an environment where a task team of the SAPS is apparently able to escape accountability despite evidence of its repeated involvement in extrajudicial killings of alleged criminals, there is an heightened risk that criminal syndicates will seek corruptly to influence a task team to kill their rivals. There is clear evidence that this risk has materialized in KwaZulu-Natal. By way of illustration, I'll refer in some detail below to the killings of Mr. Bevan Loftus. As I show below, there is at least a prima facie case that at the instance of Mr. Clive Naika, the alleged leader of a drug and towing gang, Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender deployed the task teams to kill Mr. Bevan Loftus, who was the alleged leader of a rival drug and towing tow truck gang.
And can you explain to the Commission how drugs and tow trucks come to be linked?
Okay, Commissioner, it's a known factor that certain police officers at station levels are linked with certain tow truck businesses. We also have identified that with the tow trucks, you'll get police officers who will give jobs to certain tow trucks in order to get you can call it a payment from them, more like an incentive. You call a tow truck and they will pay you like a commission. So police are very much involved in the tow truck industry. They have the friends in the tow truck. They know the tow truck that they can communicate with. And because of that, we see that the tow truck industry has a free rein when it comes to crime, because we believe that the tow truck industry, the tow trucks are used for transporting drugs. I'm not saying that all the tow trucks, but in many of the cases, the tow truck industry and the drug industry go together, hand in hand. We see the tow trucks are being used to transport drugs and to supply drugs. And the reason they do that is because they have police friends that don't even stop them and search them. Even at roadblocks, they have a free passage to go through. So that is the conclusion that we come to, is that the tow truck industry and the drug industry are actually related to each other.
Except perhaps for what may be known amongst the police through conversations, have there been any arrests of tow truck drivers, tow truck owners?
In terms of?
Have there been, yeah.
Yes, there have been arrests, but those arrests are made by the police because we don't deal with tow truck drivers. Those arrests are made by police. We've also have known cases, and I've got it in my bundle, known cases of tow truck drivers who due to the taxi turf war, I mean the tow truck turf war and the drug turf war were killed.
All right, thank you.
Mr. John, good morning. You
morning.
said police at station level give jobs or preference to tow trucks. Do you mean that when there's an accident, they are told that there's an accident scene and their preferred tow truck business people are then given a heads up to go to that scene? What exactly do you mean by police at station level give jobs to tow trucks or their friends in the trucking business?
Commissioner, that's exactly what you indicated, is that when there's an accident in a station area, certain policemen have their preference on who to call, which tow truck to call to the scene. And then you get another group of policemen from the same station, and they have their own preference on who to call to the scene, because they're getting paid from those tow truck drivers.
And I'm assuming if you're not their preferred tow truck, they remove you from the scene so that their preferred friends in the industry become part of that scene and they move
That's correct.
accident-involved vehicles from the scene.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mr. John, you say that Mr. Naika is involved or is the leader of an alleged drug and tow trucking gang, and the same about Mr. Loftus. Do they have names, these gangs? I don't remember in your statement coming upon a
I've
name.
got the names of the towing companies that they run.
Yeah. You speak of gangs. Are you saying the tow trucking company under which they operate is also the gang?
That's the, well, I would say it's a tow truck industry, but when you look at the drug turf war, it's related to a gang. So it's basically, we just know them as the towing truck, by the towing truck name.
Okay.
Commissioner, if I can assist there will be evidence later as to the names of these gangs.
Okay, thank you.
I can put on record at this stage that the gangs are the cartel, that one of them is called the cartel, and the other is called the Hollywood gang. Mr. John, if we go to page 4, we've covered some of this material already. You refer to your CV, and you speak briefly about your history in IPID and your role in IPID. Maybe if I can ask you to pick up from paragraph 15. And maybe explain the difference between the Independence Complaint Directorate and IPID.
Okay. I joined the Independent Complaints Directorate from the 16th of September 2002 as the Assistant Manager in Investigations, Independent Complaints Directorate in KwaZulu-Natal. I have been with the Directorate from then till 31st of March 2012. Then the Independent Complaints Directorate changed to the Independent Police Investigative Directorate. So it was basically a name change and the change of the mandate of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate under the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Act 1 of 2011. So I've been in the Independent Police Investigative Directorate to my current date, and I am the Deputy Director of Investigations, and I report to the provincial head, of the office, who is Ms. Charmaine van der Sant.
And you set out in paragraph 16 the mandate of IPID. Can you take us through paragraph 16 to 18, where you set out the mandate of IPID and what your specific responsibilities are?
Okay, this as a result of police action, section 28(1)(c), any complaint relating to the discharge of an official firearm by any police officer. Section 28(1)(f) is any complaint of torture or assault against a police officer in the execution of his or her duties. As the Deputy Director Investigations, I ensure that the members from the investigation component are well versed in the mandate of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate as contained in the IPID Act 1 of 2011, the regulations and the standard operating procedures of the Directorate. I am required to provide guidance to investigators on a regular basis on the duties pertaining to inter alia, the investigation of complaints, attendance at crime scenes and the completion of crime scene reports, identifying, securing, safeguarding, collecting, packaging, and forwarding of exhibits to the relevant forensic science laboratories, analyzing evidence, compiling departmental recommendations, reports to the South African Police Service, and criminal recommendation reports to the National Prosecuting Authority, and the finalization and archiving of dockets.
If we move over to page 6, if we move over to page 6, you talk about the increase in extrajudicial killings, and can you take the Commission through paragraph 19? I don't think you need to read out the details of the table that follows, but maybe summarize it.
Okay. Since 2023, there has been a surge in extrajudicial killings, which IPID has noted with great concern. Between 1st of April 2023 and 31st of May 2026, IPID investigated over 300 cases, of which 77 cases involved the deaths of 149 people as a result of police action by the task team. Now, Commissioner, we dealt with over 300 cases, but I zoned in on the 77 cases, which is in the attached list. In this 77 cases, these shootings were committed by members of the task teams. And in this shooting, there were 149 people that were killed. Now, if one look at this, in these killings.
Director John, before you go to the table, just explain the concept of extrajudicial killings And how is it different from a situation where a police officer was defending himself or they came under attack? If there's any distinction at all.
Okay, Commissioner, we've identified through our investigation that in these killings, you'll get a shooting where 6 people are shot and killed. However, when you do an investigation at the crime scene, you find only 2 firearms. And the police, their modus operandi is that, or their explanation all the time is that the deceased shot first at them before they could shoot. Now, when we've investigated, as we investigated, we identified a few cases which actually contradict the version of the police. For example, you get a case where there are 9 people that are shot and you find only 3 firearms. Now, in the area that, in the KwaZulu-Natal area, especially your area like Inanda and Kwamashu, the criminals normally, when they go into hiding, they hijack a premises. When they hijack the premises, they will keep the owners of the premises in the house, and they will inform the owners that you are not to phone anyone or inform anyone that they are in the premises. And whilst police are looking for them, they stay in the premises. And if police get wind that they are at the premises, the police go and they just shoot everybody. Even the owners of the house are shot. Because police indicate that they came under fire and that is why they shot. And we've seen in some cases, or in majority of the shootings by task team, they don't have proper case numbers where they were looking for the suspects. In some cases, they cannot even give you the names of the deceased that they shot. So with our investigation, we believe that the police are not doing proper investigation to arrest the suspects. We can look from the examples that we have that they go out to kill the person. That is why we indicate that it's extrajudicial killings.
And what is the significance of the number of firearms found at the scene? Twice you said that far fewer firearms would be found at the scene. Like you said, for example, 9 people are killed and 3 firearms are found. You gave another example.
Yes.
What's the significance of that?
Commissioner,
because even if there are 9 people, if there are 3 firearms, and if indeed those 3 firearms have been used or are being used, they may kill. So I'm not quite sure I follow the significance of the number.
Commissioner, in fact, with investigations, it shows that some of the, okay, if we say 3 firearms are used and there were 9 people, then 6 of them were unarmed. And when you do the scene, when you investigate at the scene, you would look at the 6 of them were in different places in the house. When
but if you come under fire from where you are, and if you are not in the house yourself when you are shot at, you can't tell whether there are 9 people in there and there are only 3 firearms. So still, I'm not sure that you're answering my question.
I understand what the Commissioner is saying, but with the pattern that follows, in fact, in majority of our cases, there are fewer firearms found compared to the shooting, compared to the number of deceased that were on the scene. And in some of our cases, in fact, there is cases that are before the DPP's office for decision where we can prove that the deceased did not shoot at the police. However, the police have indicated that the deceased has shot at them. But we can prove with the reconstruction of the scene, we've proven that the deceased had not shot at the police.
All right, thank you.
Can I just follow up on your answer? The these cases, you've given us 149 people in 77 cases. Have any of these been finalized? How many of these cases have been finalized where police officers, in fact, were found guilty for those shootings following on your investigations?
Commissioner, in basically one of the cases which is before the court roll now, I'm not sure whether it's in my panel here, but one of the cases in my court roll, I'll give you the scenario, is that the police, and this was during the day, the police shot at 4 occupants of a vehicle at...
Let me interrupt you. I'm asking a simpler question, which is, of the 77 cases that you've referred to, or that you're speaking to in paragraph 19, how many of them have been finalized and the police found guilty?
No, nothing as yet, Commissioner.
They're still pending
still
matters.
pending.
All of them are still to be
Yes.
determined by a court.
That's
all right.
right.
Thank you.
Then from page 12, you detail the process that should be followed in the case of a police shooting. Paragraph 20, can you take the Commission through that?
Thank you. When a Section 28(1)B case, which is a death as a result of police action, is received by the Directorate, the supervisor of the group performing standby duties will engage the investigators to attend the crime scene. IPID is mandated under Section 24 of the IPID Act, Act 1 of 2011, to attend crime scenes. When IPID investigators arrive at the crime scene, they will take over the crime scene and together with the SAP's duty officer will conduct a walk through the crime scene without tampering or destroying any evidence. At times, the crime scene is already being attended by members of the local criminal record center. IPID investigators are mandated to ensure that exhibits are photographed, indexed, protected, preserved, packed, seized, and transported to the relevant forensic science laboratory. Investigators remain in the crime scene until the bodies of the deceased are collected by members of the medico-legal mortuaries. IPID investigators are tasked to attend postmortems for the collection of exhibits retrieved during the postmortems and to make notes pertaining to the cause of death. Investigators are mandated to retrieve and analyze postmortem reports and present as evidence in the criminal and departmental proceedings.
And then you discuss the challenges that you encounter as IPID. Can you take the Commission through paragraph 24?
Okay. The challenges presented to IPID investigators pertaining to crime scenes include the following. Some scenes are not attended immediately due to the distance the scenes are from the office. For example, scenes within a radius of 150 kilometers are attended on the same day. However, scenes outside the 150-kilometer radius are attended only on the day the postmortem will be conducted.
Sorry, you appeared to state this categorically, as it were, but I would imagine that what you mean is that generally, because otherwise it sounds rather mechanical. For example, if a scene that's 149 kilometers from your office can be attended on the same day, why is that not the case with a scene that's 151 kilometers from your office, if you see what I mean?
Commissioner,
so all I'm saying is perhaps you should say generally.
Generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, the problems that we have when scenes are far away is that the station normally contacts us, like maybe they will contact us half an hour after they receive the report, or maybe even an hour after they receive the report. Now, for us to get to the scene, if it's going to take more than an hour or more than an hour and a half, it becomes difficult, even for the police to be on the scene. But I did highlight it here in my. So some scenes are not attended due to the volatile area, and when members of the SAPS come under attack by the members of the public. These scenes are attended on the day of the postmortem. So if the scene is far away from our office, and we get information that the members are under attack because the community is attacking them, then we would request them to leave the scene, and we do a reconstruction when we do the postmortem. In some cases, SAPS officials deliberately delay the contacting of IPID officials, raising suspicion that they want to tamper with the crime scene, for example, by planting of weapons and primary residue on the deceased. At scenes where task teams are involved in the shooting, almost without exception, there are delays. We did identify this in our investigations, and through the and when reports are made, we did identify the task teams generally delay, and we have taken it up with the commanders of those task teams, but we still have that delay in reporting. IPID has identified that media personnel are regularly contacted prior to IPID officials being notified of killings. There are instances where IPID learns of SAPS killings through social media posted by journalists. So when you look at your Facebook page, you'll see a shooting that happened even in Inanda, which is not even 30 kilometers from the office. You learn of it via social media, and when you get there, you'll see a reporter on the scene. There have been instances where members involved in shootings where members of the public are killed. They leave the crime scene with the firearms before IPID attends the scene. And this prevents IPID from uplifting primary residue from the members and complicates the matters with respect to the inspection of the firearms. So we do have that instance where the shooters, they leave the crime scene, citing that their lives are in danger whilst they wait for IPID. So we do have a problem in that aspect.
Mr. John, what is the applicable protocol practically? So you have a scene, there's just been a shooting now. As between the SAPS and the IPID, what is the agreed rule of operation when that has happened?
Commissioner, the shooter has to remain on the scene because he is part of the crime scene, which means that we have to do a primary residue test on him. We have to inspect the firearm. We have to count the number of rounds that he has in his possession versus the number of rounds that when he came on duty. So when a member is not there, it's very difficult for us to deal with that aspect of investigation.
And who is responsible for calling IPID, informing IPID of the incident?
The first respondent that comes to the crime scene, once the respondent knows that the matter belongs to IPID, he's supposed to have contacted IPID. Section 29 of the IPID Act indicates that any member, the station commander or any member must notify IPID immediately of a case that involves IPID or falls under the mandate of IPID.
Okay. What I'm trying to understand is whether the people that must make the call, that are required and are obliged to make the call to IPID, is it the people at the scene who caused the sin, or is it their commander to whom they report that there's now been this incident? I'm just trying to understand the practical, how this plays out practically.
Okay, practically what happens, Commissioner, is that the uniform members who attend the crime scene contact the detective on call. So the detective on call also, at the same instance, contact the duty officer. So when the duty officer and the detective on call come to the scene, then they are the ones that contact us. Now, the delay is that if the detective and the duty officer delays in getting to the crime scene, we are already delayed in getting to the crime scene because we only get the report when they get to the crime scene. However, the members who work at maybe they are the members that work in the shift who attend the crime scene, they're actually supposed to be the people calling us also, because it says that when they become aware that that crime falls within the mandate of IPID, they also supposed to call us. When they call the duty officer, they're supposed to call IPID also. Sometimes you get to the crime scene, the LCRC is there before us because they call the LCRC, they call all the other role players besides calling IPID to the scene.
And the IPID contact, whether it's a number or a person, do you say every police officer has it as a matter of course? So if I'm at the scene where there's a shooting and I'm part of that scene, are you saying that every member on that scene who was part of that incident would know who to call at IPID?
Sure, in majority of the stations, they do have our standby number. We have a dedicated standby number which are members on standby have their cell number. However, the station can communicate with the radio control, and radio control is aware of which IPID official is on standby. So there is that a number that they can call. They can call the radio control and inform the radio control that there is a shooting and we need you to get all of IPID. So radio control have our standby numbers.
Thank you.
You referred to two categories of police officers. I think you said what? Duty investigator or what?
You get the detective on standby.
Detective on standby, and I think you mentioned...
And you get the duty officer on standby.
Duty officer.
Yes.
You said when those two arrive at the scene, they are supposed to then call IPID. Why must they first get to the scene?
No, Commissioner, I just want to rephrase.
Okay.
In fact, they call us when they get to the scene. However, they are not the ones that's supposed to have called us.
But what I'm saying is, why must they first get to the scene instead of calling you immediately when they themselves get the call?
Yes, they're supposed to do that.
Okay, all right. Do you know why it doesn't happen? Why? Because you say they call you when they get to the scene, but they are supposed to call you when they get the call. Do you know why they only call when they get to the scene?
Commissioner, I believe they get to the scene to ascertain what happened at the scene before they call IPID. But that should not be the case. They should, when they get called and they are informed that there is a shooting by the police, and this is an IPID-related matter, they're supposed to immediately call radio control and inform radio control to call us.
Yes, because I would imagine with such matters, you don't want to lose time. You want to get to the scene immediately to start collecting evidence.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Just following up from that, Mr. John, as I read 29(1) of the Act, I mean, well, let me read it out. The station commander or any member of the SAPS or municipal police service must, A, immediately after becoming aware, notify the directorate of any matters referred to in 28(1)A to F, and 28(1)B is a death as a result of police action.
That's correct.
So it's a duty that rests on any member of the SAPS, including the shooter, him or herself.
That's correct.
And then what we see in Chapter 9 of the IPID Act, Section 33(3), there is actually an offence created. Any police officer who fails to comply with Section 29 is guilty of an offence.
Yes.
Are you aware of any prosecutions of that offence in Section 33(3) of the IPID Act?
We have opened cases under Section 33 contravention of Section 29 of the IPED Act. Chair, in many of those cases, the SPP declined to prosecute, citing that the act was a new act at that time in 2012, 2013, 2014. They cited that we have to produce evidence that the member is aware of the act, because we cannot charge if the member was not aware of the act. So that was many of our cases were declined to prosecute because of that.
But, I mean, in the context about which we're talking, these task teams, where your evidence is we're dealing with a repeated problem here. Have you raised this issue? I mean, I presume that the commanders of these task teams are by now well aware of Section 29 of the Act.
Yeah.
And have you pursued attempts to prosecute any commanders who repeatedly contravene Section 29?
We have cases which we are investigating with the actual shooting in the list that I've provided. We have some of those cases where we were not called to the scene, totally not called to the scene, and only came to know about the scene a day later. So we have open cases, and those cases are being investigated together with the shooting.
And from my understanding of your answer to Commissioner Baloyi, none of those cases have yet been finalized.
None has finalized in court as yet.
If we move then to the next topic, which is starts at the foot of page 14, you're detailing the experiences that you encounter in relation to the cash in transit task team. Maybe if you can take the Commission through what you say in paragraph 25.
Okay, in the majority of shootings involving alleged CIT suspects, the task team under Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender has been involved. The facts of this case bear a striking similarity. The consistent pattern is the following. Task team members indicate that they receive information from SAP's crime intelligence pertaining to the whereabouts of suspects involved in CITs. The information received is generally not verified with reference to any other investigation, case docket, or investigating officers or detectives in charge of such cases. The commander of the task team then plans an operation on the information allegedly received. These operations are frequently planned to be undertaken between 11 o'clock, 2300 hours to 300 hours in the morning, a time where there is a reduced likelihood of witnesses being present to observe any wrongdoing by the members of the SAPS. The members on most of these operations are wearing civilian clothing and or balaclavas or face masks without any SAPS insignia. Despite the fact that they have apparently chosen deliberately not to wear uniform that would identify themselves as police officers, the members always claim that when they approach the premises of the alleged CIT suspects, they introduce themselves in an audible manner, indicating that they are police officers. They then invade the premises of the alleged CIT suspects. They allege that they come under fire from the suspects and they return fire in self-defense. In most of the crime scenes where alleged CIT suspects are shot and killed by police, all suspects and occupants present when the shooting takes place are killed by the task team, leaving no witness to the operation other than the members of the task team themselves. No high-caliber firearms or rifles, explosives, components to manufacture explosives, or money has been found at any of the CIT shootings. IPID usually find only homemade firearms, pistols, or revolvers, which are allegedly pointed out by the police officers implicated in the shooting of the suspects. The SAPS commander in charge of the task teams is frequently unable to provide the names or identities of the suspects who are killed. Very rarely are they able to provide the SAPS case number in which the suspects or deceased are allegedly implicated in the CIT robberies, leaving a suspicion that the so-called suspects killed during these operations may not have even been involved in any CIT robberies.
Now, I have two follow-up questions. The first is, these are all general statements. Has IPID done any statistical analysis? Can you, is there anywhere where we can get detail in relation to these general statements?
Chair, in these cases that we are investigating, I indicated the 77 cases that we're investigating. In majority of the cases, you'll not have the name of the deceased. When you go to the crime scene, the commander of the task team that is present will indicate to you that the deceased are unknown. In some of the cases, when we get case numbers which are provided, we go to the stations, relevant stations, and we pick up the dockets. When we pick up the dockets, you will not even find the name of the deceased in those dockets.
No, I understand the proposition that you're putting forward there, but has IPID, as it were, done any statistical gathering of information so that you can describe, just at a simple level, how many of those 77 cases that we see in your table were there deceased people who were not linked to any dockets cited by the team?
In fact, in all those 77 cases, the 77 cases, the dockets that we peruse cannot link the deceased to the initial cases that were opened.
In every single one?
In every single case.
You're telling the Commission that in every one of these 77 cases?
Because in majority of the cases, they are unknown. Deceased are unknown. So if they are unknown, how do you link them to a shooting? If they are known, then in fact...
No, I understand if they're unknown, they can't be linked
Yes.
to any docket.
Yeah.
But presumably they are identified at a later stage.
When they're identified at the later stage, the names are not in the docket. When we pick up the docket from the station, the names are not in the docket.
Do you mean in the station of origin where the case was opened?
Yes.
They are not identified as suspects in that case?
Yes. In some of the cases, we interviewed investigating officers. And investigating officers indicated, I did not task anyone to go looking for a suspect because I don't know the suspect. So in the, Commissioner, when they get this information about suspects in cash in transit or in cases of murder and so forth, they don't do a proper investigation to link those suspects to the case. And in the operations, they don't involve the investigating officer who is tasked with the docket. They just get the information, they plan an operation, and they go, and then the shooting takes place.
Can I just understand what it is you're saying is wrong? We, for example, have had evidence to do with drug busts, right? And in what we have had, at least according to the evidence standard, there is no first opportunity to identify a suspect, open a docket, have a name, investigate them. The story is we got a tip-off from crime intelligence officer that there is these drugs at this particular place, and we went and did a bust. So there's obviously no docket at that point when the bust is done, and there's no case number, there's no known suspects.
That's correct.
Is what you're saying that in respect of these cash in transit or these task team cases, that it is wrong that they act on a tip-off when there's no docket, there's no case number, there's no known suspect in advance? Is that the criticism? Is that a criticism, and is that if it is that a criticism that you are raising?
No, Commissioner, in these cases, there are dockets. There are dockets in these cases that are open prior to them getting the information. Because the cash in transit takes place maybe a day earlier. And then they receive, so there is a docket open on that date when the cash in transit takes place. There is an investigating officer that is identified to investigate that case. The information that comes to the task team is not provided to the investigating officer, or there's no communication with that investigating officer to say that we've received information that there are cash in transit suspects that's hiding at a particular place. For the investigating officer now to investigate that matter, they simply go out there, the task team themselves, leaving the investigating officer out, because at none of the scenes that our members went to, that they found the investigating officer. So the task team, they go themselves out to the place where they receive the information, and then the shooting takes place. So in all these cases, there were dockets open prior to the task team going to the premises to arrest suspects.
Okay.
So from what you are saying, it seems to me that the task team members identify a particular cash in transit heist randomly. If they happen to know that there was a cash in transit 2 days ago, they will just identify that or any other.
It looks like that.
We are based on what you say, which is that there is then no connection whatsoever between the people that have been killed and that particular cash in transit.
Yes, Commissioner, because as I indicated, that when you get to the scene, and when my investigators on the scene wants the names of the deceased persons, the deceased are unknown. So they cannot link the deceased to the actual cash in transit.
But are you able to say that, I posited this based on my understanding of what you say, but then I have a question, which is this. Are you able to say these, the deceased have nothing to do with that cash in transit, if at that stage not even the investigator or the detective knows who the culprits are?
Commissioner, I wouldn't say that they're not involved in the cash in transit.
Yes.
There must be an investigation to link them to that cash in transit.
But what point then are you making by saying when you go to the dockets, you are not able to link the deceased with that docket? What point are you making?
Well, the cases that we have looked at,
Yes.
we cannot do any linkage of those suspects to the cash in transit.
And what linkage do you expect at that stage? If the culprits are not known, if even the investigator or the detective does not know who the culprits are, what link would you be expecting to make?
Well, normally the cash in transit, well, I won't say normally, majority of the cash in transits, it's on social media. There are video recordings of it, those cash in transit. You could see some of the criminals that are there carrying powered rifles and so forth. You would use that to identify whether these are the suspects in those cases. And only the investigating officer has the docket and can assist in doing that linkage.
And would you say that that's the situation or the case in all 77 that we're talking about here?
No, not in, actually in all 77, as I said, Commissioner, there is no reference to suspects, the suspects' names in the docket. So how do the task team link those unknown people to a cash in transit? There's no linkage there. And even if they give us names, you cannot find the names in the cash in transit case. Because in majority of the shootings where there's cash in transit, in majority of the shootings, you'll have a cash in transit that occurs maybe 2 days ago. And then you get a shooting where police go looking for alleged cash in transit suspects and kill them. So there was no proper investigation done to actually link these alleged suspects to the case.
Would the answer lie in the docket, though? Because if at that early stage the culprits are not known, would the answer lie in the docket? I would imagine it shouldn't, and it cannot.
It cannot.
Does the answer not lie in on what basis are the police saying these are the people according to the information or the intelligence we got? Doesn't the answer lie there? Either there is an answer there or there isn't, but not so much in the docket. Because
yes.
I have difficulty understanding this about not finding anything in the docket.
There's basically nothing in the docket.
Yes.
There's nothing in the docket.
Exactly my point.
Yeah. If they are getting the information from crime intelligence, allegedly from crime intelligence, they're getting the information, and they act on the information without conducting a proper investigation.
And I'm not even suggesting that there is an answer. I'm saying it may or may not lie there. That is the answer. What information did they get, and what is it in that information that led them to the people that they killed? Yeah. But not so much the docket.
Oh, well, Commissioner, the information they get is that there is a particular premises, and mostly it happens in a informal settlement.
Yes.
They will indicate that there's a particular house where there is suspected to be the suspects that were involved in the cash in transit.
Yeah.
So they get the information during the day, but they plan the operation to go through the night. And living in KZN, it's very difficult to go do operations at night, especially in the informal settlements, because it's dangerous to do these operations. So when they go to those premises, they allege that they come under fire, and they fired back. Now, if you see at the cash in transits that take place, we know that these cash in transit robbers are highly trained. They are highly trained. They're not these normal robbers that you will get on the street. They are highly trained, and they use high caliber firearms. But when you go and you look at the deceased that is lying down in that informal settlement, you're finding a homemade firearm, you're finding a revolver or a pistol, and you can see that these deceased that are there, we're not even ready to go anyway. They in the pajamas or underpants, and they're sleeping. So they were not expecting for police to come in order to shoot at the police. And it's surprising that police can go and say that they're going to look for cash in transit robbers, knowing fully well that they have high-powered firearms, and they will go all out to shoot because they are linked to cash in transit, that you go and you knock on the door and you say, we're police. It's surprising that they will do that. Because you know, as soon as you knock at the door at cash in transit robbers, you're going to come under fire with high caliber firearms because they are cash in transit suspects. So that is why I'm saying the suspects that are killed, there is no linkage that they are the ones involved in cash in transit.
Thank you. Yeah, I hear you on the modus operandi. My issue, and you responded, so I'm not asking for any further response. My issue just related to the point you were making about the dockets,
Okay.
the information or lack of it in the dockets. You've already responded, and yeah, I'll leave it there.
And Commissioner, the other aspect is that the dockets are closed almost immediately. Once a person is killed, the docket gets closed, the cash in transit docket, because they link that deceased as a suspect in the docket without any other investigation, not looking at the firearms that they used, whether those firearms are linked at the cash in transit, or maybe placing their cell phone at the scene of the cash in transit. That docket is immediately closed. So there's no further investigation done on that cash in transit docket that has been
closes-
opened.
But that's strange. Who closes the docket?
The station, even the task team themselves, they write the name of the deceased on the docket, and the docket is closed.
I don't understand that. Not if no connection was made in terms of investigations, that the person who has been killed was indeed the person who had committed the cash in transit. I just don't follow that.
Well, based on the
There's a missing link in
yes,
there.
yeah, based on the statements of the members of the task team that they went looking for suspects involved in the cash in transit. That case get closed.
Yeah, but I'll leave it at that. We are not inquiring after the extrajudicial killings. Yeah.
Can I just follow up on Mr. Chaskalson's question about statistics? Of the 77 cases that you say relate to task teams, what percentage or number of that relates to cash in transit? Because your statement focuses on cash in transits.
Okay, I can't give you that number. It's actually those 77 is cash in transit, drug-related, and murder and cases related to the taxi industry.
Yes, no, that's my understanding.
yes,
So my question is, has IPID not done the statistical analysis of the 77 cases? So much are cash in transit cases. And the next question that I would have asked, that I now assume you may not have an answer to in light of what you're saying, is what percentage of that cash in transit number is the majority of shootings that you say they involve Lieutenant Colonel Governor's task team? Because that's what you say at paragraph 25. You say the majority of shootings relate to his task team. So I wanted to know whether you've got that breakdown of numbers.
I don't have it, Commissioner, but we can supply it.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe while we're on this topic, just to illustrate what you've been saying to the Commission, can we discuss can you go to the Hibadine case that you talked to at paragraph 21? Because I think this falls into the category that we're just discussing.
Paragraph 44.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner, in this case, members of the Colonel Governor's task team were on duty on Saturday, the 2nd of March, 2024, and at about 1 o'clock, the members proceeded on an operation to arrest an alleged CIT suspect. Information was received from crime intelligence that the suspect was planning a CIT robberies in Eastern Cape. That is what Colonel Governor informed the IPID investigators, that the information they received was this suspect was planning to do a cash in transit in Eastern Cape. The suspect went into hiding in...
Sorry, can I just stop you at that point? What degree of information would be required before you were able to arrest someone for planning CRT robberies in the Eastern Cape?
Well, you have to do a proper investigation, like put surveillance on the person, apply for a court order to tap their phones, to listen into the conversations if you have that. You can't just get information that the person is planning to do cash in transit and then go to arrest him. You arresting him on what? There's no crime. He didn't commit any crime. He's only planning to do it. But you still have to show that he's planning to do it. Now, they received information that he was planning to commit cash in transit in Eastern Cape, and they rushed out to his premises.
So at that stage, at that early stage, when you are doing the surveillance, I would imagine you don't open a police case.
You can open an inquiry, Commissioner.
An inquiry?
Yes, a police inquiry.
Oh, okay.
And then you can, with the inquiry, you can apply for a court order. You can apply for a Section 205 with an inquiry. And then you can, from your inquiry, it will indicate whether he's part of a cash in transit group.
And can I ask, in this particular case, are you aware whether there was any inquiry opened, whether there was any docket opened?
Nothing.
Is it not fair to say that that information would have had to have been received in advance of the day of the operation? Because, I mean, I don't know if you're saying if they received information on the 2nd of March itself, and let's say at 12 midnight, are you saying even in those circumstances, they must first open an inquiry number before they go and operationalize? Does it not assume that there is proper advance information or intelligence that this person is at this place, they're planning to do this, and there's time to do surveillance and everything that you're describing and to get a CIN number?
Yes, Commissioner, what I'm indicating is that, firstly, there was no evidence to prove that he was involved in planning cash in transit. So what they're supposed to do is that when they receive that information, they're supposed to open an inquiry and then do the investigations from that inquiry, from the information that they received. And when they've done the investigation to prove that this suspect is part of the cash in transit syndicate and they can do proper linkages, then they can go to make an arrest. But what they did is that they received the information and they rushed off to go to arrest the person.
Thank you.
The suspect in question went into hiding in the Aberdeen area due to having received death threats. He subsequently rented a holiday cottage with his girlfriend. The members allege that they received information that the suspect was in possession of at least one firearm and was instrumental in securing explosives illegally for CIT ICE from Limpopo and Gauteng. The members from the task team then proceeded to the said holiday cottage and knocked on the door and allegedly identified themselves as police officers. The suspect opened the door, after which the members proceeded inside the premises and searched the lounge and found nothing suspicious. Now here the police knocked on the door, the suspect opened. If the suspect had anything to hide, he would have not opened the door. He would have shot at the police at the same time. The keys of the suspect's vehicle was found on the table. Some task team members took the suspect's girlfriend outside to the suspect's vehicle to search. Now they should have taken the suspect outside. He and the suspect lost balance. When the suspect got up, he fired his pistol in the direction of, tried to disarm the policeman of the firearm. Even if he shot both those policemen, in which the deceased was sought for, however, the commander of the task team failed to provide any case numbers to validate the claim that the deceased was in fact sought by the police for any offences, let alone CIT offences. According to the first police officer responding to the scene, the deceased was the one who opened the door when the police requested entry to the lodge. Members of the task team had not found any illegal firearms, explosive or any items to indicate that the deceased was in fact involved in CIT robbers. The girlfriend of the deceased is currently in hiding as it is alleged that she was threatened by the members of the task team. The position of the deceased on the scene of crime contradicts the version of the members of the task team in relation to his attempt to draw a firearm from underneath a pillow, as he was found at the base of the bed while the pillow was at the head of the bed. The only outstanding investigation in this matter is a statement of the suspect's girlfriend, who is being sought. There is a clear indication that the version of the task team members are fabricated to cover up an unjustified shooting. As soon as a statement has been obtained from the suspect's girlfriend, the docket will be forwarded to the senior public prosecutor for a decision. IPOD has yet to be presented with any evidence suggesting that the suspect was involved in CIT crimes, nor has the task team offered any explanation as to how it was informed that the suspect was in Aberdeen. It seems that the task team merely used cash in transit to cover the action of killing a taxi owner. Their inability to explain how they were informed of the whereabouts of the suspect raises suspicion as to whether rival taxi owners may have been involved in tipping them off.
How do you make that jump to the suspicion about rival taxi owners? Is that the most plausible inference under the circumstances? If so, why?
Chair, the deceased went into hiding after he received threats from rival taxi owners. And where he went to, nobody knew, not even his family knew where he went to. And here the police is saying, or the task team is saying that he was involved in cash in transit or planning cash in transit, when they cannot find or provide any evidence to that effect. No case numbers. He was found in that resort or in that holiday accommodation with his private firearm, licensed private firearm. There was no illegal items found even in his vehicle when they searched his vehicle. So our belief is that because he went into hiding, because of the taxi industry, that there is a possibility that the taxi owners would have probably identified where he went to. The second aspect is that we've identified that the police are using the police grabber, cell phone grabber, and are coming to a conclusion where possible cash-in transit suspects are, especially crime intelligence. They are utilizing police grabber. So they are tracing cell phones. So if this taxi owner went into hiding, nobody would have known where he is. Not even his family knew he was there.
Or unless I missed it, you were mentioning the fact that the death threats were made by rival taxi owners. You are mentioning that for the first time in response to my question. In paragraph 45, where you mentioned death threats, you say the suspect went into hiding in the Heberden area. due to having received death threats.
Yeah, from taxi.
Yeah, there you don't say from whom.
I apologize, Chair. From taxi arrivals.
But as I say, I don't know whether between 45 and the end of this topic you do mention the rival taxi owners. I don't know. But in 45, that's where you mention the threats.
In my initial statement, Chair, I indicated that the deceased was a well-known taxi owner. I do apologize for not putting it under there. He received death threats from taxi owners in the area.
So that's the threats by rival taxi owners is the basis for your suspicion.
That's correct, Chair.
You connecting without saying so, and maybe if that's what you want to say in detail, you should speak to it. On the face of it, you are creating a connection between rival taxi owners that you say had threatened this person. You're creating a connection between those and the task team. Effectively what you're saying is the task team, in this case, according to IPID, appears to have been doing work or did the killing on behalf of the rival taxi people that threatened and caused this man to go into hiding. Is that what you're saying? And is it based on any investigation, facts, if you like, of that IPID has carried out? Because it's one thing to say this is what we suspect, and you have no control over how it gets understood to mean you have created that connection, as a matter of fact. And if that's what you're doing, saying you've created a connection as a matter of fact, I think you should say so. Otherwise, if it is a theory and nothing more, I think that should come out clearly.
Okay. Commissioner, I have another case here that I will discuss where you would see that connection.
That's fine. We're still at the Heberden one. Is there such a connection that IPID has? Because your statement doesn't do that. It requires one to read between the lines that this is what you are suggesting. In the Heberden case, have you made that kind of connection as IPID?
The only reason that I make that connection is that the task team did not have any information pertaining to cash in transit. There was no allegation, and they have not produced any information pertaining to cash in transit. However, we know that the deceased was involved in the taxi industry. And that is why we make that connection, is that because the same task team is involved in shooting other taxi owners.
So insofar as it relates to the Heberden matter, you're saying that is the theory
That's correct.
Of IPID.
That's correct.
And you say the basis for that theory is because you have other cases where you will show that this task team has in fact done the bidding of a rival taxi group against another.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're referring to another case in relation to the taxi industry. Is that the Pinetown case?
Pinetown case.
And that you address at page 17 of your statement. Maybe you can, can you take the Commission through the Pinetown case?
From paragraph 28, it is alleged that on the 30th of May, at about 10:30, members from a task team under the command of Captain Pedro Rodriguez shot at a vehicle, a Toyota Fortuner, to kill the driver It is alleged that 10 members who were part of the operation stopped the vehicle on the M13, highway eastbound to Westville. 14 rounds were shot from the rifle at the said vehicle. Fortunately for the driver of the vehicle was an armor-proof vehicle. During the incident, the driver telephonically contacted the Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Mkonazi, who informed him to drive off to the Pavilion shopping mall situated in Westville. The driver adhered to the instruction of the Provincial Commissioner, and he drove to the Pavilion shopping center, where he met senior officers from Westville SAPS. The 10 members on the task team followed the driver. However, when they reached the Pavilion shopping center, they were greeted by the Pavilion security and senior police officers from Westville SAPS. Investigations have thus far revealed that there was a shooting of a taxi chairperson by the name of Reginald Boy Gladla in Hillcrest, and there was evidence that 2 suspects were identified for the murder. Captain Rodriguez was tasked with apprehending the suspects. The first suspect was allegedly killed when Colonel Kalashwayo's team tried to arrest him. This murder case is investigated by IPID under Hillcrest case 121/05/2024. The circumstances are
Sorry, before you get to the circumstances, can you please look at paragraph 33, the case number there? Is it the same one? There, it's all the numbers except for the 05 and the 03 are the same. I'm just checking if perhaps you've not, if it's the same case, I'm checking if you've not made a mistake.
Chair,
on the 05
No,
or the 03, or are they different cases?
Thank you, Chair. It's a typographical error. It's 05.
05. So at 33, we must change it to 05.
05.
Okay, thank you. Please continue then. The circumstances are as follows.
The circumstances are as follows. The suspect was initially arrested while he was preparing to depart for Gauteng. That is the first suspect that was identified by Colonel Kalashwayo. So they arrested him at the KZN airport on a murder case, which was Pinetown case 457/08/2022, in which a taxi boss was killed. That taxi boss, I've indicated his name, Reginald Boy in Gladla. It is alleged that the police questioned the suspect about the firearm that was used in the Pinetown murder, and he then took them to his friend's residence in Hillcrest.
And what do you mean? Which airport is this? You said KZN airport.
Yes. That's the King Shaka Airport, Chair. Commissioner, King Shaka Airport.
All right, thank you.
It is alleged that the police questioned the suspect about the firearm that was used in the Pinetown murder, and he took them to his friend's residence in Hillcrest. Whilst at the said premises, the suspect requested to use a toilet. At the relevant time, he was allegedly accompanied by 2 police officers. The police alleged that the suspect reached for a firearm that was hidden underneath the sink in the toilet. One police officer then wrestled the suspect for the firearm, during which a round went off, at which point the second police officer shot the deceased. It is alleged that the deceased in Hillcrest case 121/05/2024, who was a well-known established businessman in the taxi industry, had borrowed the Toyota Fortuner from Mr. Ngobo. The complainant in Pinetown case 678/5/2025.
Sorry, the case numbers can get confusing. So the complainant in Pinetown case 678 is the complainant that was shot at by the task team under the control of Captain Rodriguez.
That's correct. That's correct.
Sorry, I've picked up something similar about the case numbers. Here you have 6, 7, 8, that is here at 33. At 35, you have 6, 7, 3. And again, the rest is the same. Are these different cases, or again, is it one case with a typo?
No, it's one case, Chair.
So which one do we change?
Chair, it's 678. The heading
The correct one is
678.
678. So at 33, then we change the 673 to 678.
678, that's correct. My apologies for that, Chair.
No problem.
Another observation, in the heading, you have 67805-2024, and then at 33, you have 67805-2025. Is that a typo? It should be 2024.
2024.
Please continue.
Okay, so the first suspect for the murder of the taxi chairperson was shot when he was picked up from the airport and taken to his friend's house, where the police alleged that he tried to take a firearm that was hidden under the sink. The second suspect in that matter borrowed the Toyota Fortuner of the complainant in Pinetown 678 of 5/2024. The suspect was using the Toyota Fortuner, and Captain Rodriguez obtained information, and he'd seen the suspect driving the Toyota Fortuner. And he allegedly tried on numerous occasions to apprehend the second suspect, who was said to have been driving the Toyota Fortuner, to no avail. In the meantime, the vehicle was returned to Mr. Ngobo. So the second suspect was not using that vehicle anymore. And Captain Rodriguez was now focusing on the Toyota Fortuner. So he requested an employee at the estate where the victim resided to inform him when the vehicle was driving out of the said estate. On the 30th of May 2024, Mr. Ngobo left his estate in his Fortuner vehicle, and Captain Rodriguez was informed that the Fortuner was leaving the estate. He and his team followed the vehicle, cornered it, and brought it to an halt alongside the M13. Mr. Ngobo noticed that one vehicle had 4 occupants who were wearing balaclavas. When the Fortuner stopped on the left-hand side of the road, Mr. Ngobo saw another 3 vehicles behind him. Mr. Ngobo immediately contacted the SAPS Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Mkonazi. Whilst he was on the call, the police started to open fire on his vehicle. He was advised by the Provincial Commissioner to drive to Pavilion Shopping Centre. At the shopping centre, some senior SAPS officer came and questioned Mr. Ngobo while his vehicle was inspected and photographed by members of LCRC. Due to the extensive damage to his vehicle, it was towed to Pinetown Police Station. Mr. Ngobo's private firearm was also seized by the duty officer. Whilst the members from the LCRC were busy processing the secondary scene, the members from Captain Rodriguez's task team arrived at the Pavilion Shopping Centre, and they were summoned to Provincial Commissioner's office by Major General Gobosi. The members from the task team left the scene at Pavilion Shopping Centre without being duly processed as the members implicated in discharging of official firearm in an attempted murder case. They did not provide any explanation or justification for the shooting, nor did they provide firearm numbers or the number of rounds fired at the vehicle to the duty officer in their attendance at the secondary crime scene. Primary residue test samples could not be uplifted as the officers had left the scene prior to LCRC obtaining the samples as is procedurally required. This all took place under the instructions received from Major General Ngobosi. During IPED's investigation, it was established that Captain Rodriguez and another member's vehicle had false registration plates affixed to the SAPS vehicle that were used for the said operation. The SAPS vehicle used with unmarked vehicles used were unmarked vehicles with no official SAPS insignia or markings to show that they were official SAPS vehicles. IPED KZN proceeded with the investigation, and after discussion with the control prosecutor, arrested 9 of the 10 members of the task team, and they appeared in Pinetown Court on the 11th of July 2024, and Captain Rodriguez was subsequently arrested on the 31st of July 2024 and appeared in Pinetown Court. IPED made recommendations to the SAPS that disciplinary steps may be instituted against all 10 members. The disciplinary hearing has commenced. The criminal matter has since been postponed from the Pinetown Court to Durban Regional Court to the 20th of August 2026.
Can I just clarify one issue? False registration plates. Has any explanation been given for false registration plates?
Well, the members, when they were charged, they elected to remain silent. They could not provide an explanation regarding the false number plates. But we've identified that the reason the false number plates are used so they cannot be identified when shootings take place, or if they have to leave crime scenes prior to anyone coming to the crime scene. They are not identifiable.
But presumably the members involved in these shootings always, I mean, you are able to identify 3 task teams led by Captain Rodriguez. Is it Captain Govender?
He is now promoted to Lieutenant Colonel Govender.
And Colonel Kalitswayo.
Kalitswayo, yes.
So I still don't see the point of false number plates. I mean, in that context, you know who the task team leaders are. Or what is false number plates going to do?
Well, there was no explanation provided for the false number plates, but one would believe in order to not to be recognized, because they don't use police uniform in most of the cases, these task teams don't use police uniforms. And if there is anything that happened contrary to the prescripts of the Criminal Procedure Act, then they can easily leave the scene without being identified.
Chair, we've run past 11. I'm not sure if this is a convenient time to break.
Yeah, just one quick question. I just want to understand your narration of this incident, the Pinetown incident. Are you doing so with a view to advancing the idea that the task teams, or some of them, are infiltrated by criminal gangs? If so, how?
Chair, I would believe that they are being used by other taxi rival gangs. Because in this case here, the chairperson of the taxi in the Pinetown area was killed. And the police went all out looking for the other 2. And when they found the first one, they found him at the airport. And he willingly took them to his friend's house. On that investigation where he was shot, the version of the police doesn't make sense. Because if you look at the bathroom where he was shot, there is nothing where you can put a firearm hide a firearm under the zinc. There's no built-in cupboards there that you can put a firearm under the zinc. So the version is totally contradictory to the crime scene. And then they went all out for the second suspect. And when they went for the second suspect, you could see that they deliberately wanted to kill him, not realizing that the vehicle was a armor-plated vehicle. So that is why I believe that they were ordered by someone to take out these two suspects for murdering the chairperson of the taxi industry.
Thank you. Let's resume at 22:12. Let's adjourn.
Please make sure that your cell phones are off or on silent. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair. We come now to the case of the death of Mr. Loftus, Mr. Bevan Loftus, and 4 other deceased on the 1st of April 2023. It's an episode that you address from page 23 of the statement. Maybe if you can start by just talking briefly about, to provide the context of turf wars between gangs involved in the tow truck industry and the drug industry.
Thank you, Commissioner. Due to the number of years of my experience in law enforcement and investigations spanning 40 years, I'm aware that some operators in the tow truck industry are also involved in the drug industry. The tow trucks are utilized as a tool to transport and supply drugs throughout the eThekwini municipality. Over the years, there were many turf wars between tow truck companies over routes. There are numerous cases where these turf wars have resulted in violent crimes, including murder and attempted murder. There is a YouTube video pertaining to the tow truck and drug turf wars.
You've given the reference. I'm not sure we're going to, I don't think we'll play it now, but
Okay.
if the commissioners want to click the link, they can in due course. You've already mentioned earlier on about collusion between
The police.
SAPS members and the tow truck owners. But at paragraph 59, you describe the main role players in the towing industry. Can you take the commission through paragraph 59?
Okay, the main role players in the towing industry in and around Durban and the areas of operation include the following, but they're not limited to these. I just highlighted a few. In Chatsworth, you got the UA, which is Ugly Americans, UA Ugly American Kings, Shilton's, Precision Towing Company, and Exhibit Towing Company. In the south areas, you got Unique Towings in Brighton Beach, Durban South Tow Lines, Central, M7 and the N2, Justin Tow Lines, Towing Industry, Eganson Highway to Abugotini area. In the Phoenix, you got G7 Tow Lines, Classic Tow Lines, and Ordain's Tow Lines. And Durban and surrounding, you got Roadstar Tow Trucks, Springtown, Asherville, Sydenham, Overport, and the N2.
Now, what you haven't mentioned in paragraph 59 is the tow truck company of Mr. Bevan Loftus. Do you recall what that tow truck company was called?
Okay, I put it down below.
Well, if I put it to you that it's first for KZN.
First, yes. Yes, that's right. First for KZN. And the other tow truck company that we look at is Roadstar Tow Truck.
And who is associated with Roadstar?
There is Clive Nyker. Now, the reason I highlighted the two tow trucks is because Bevan's and Clive were competitions to each other in the towing industry. They were competitions to each other. And the shootings arising from tow truck turf wars include the following. Alan Subramani, the director of Durban South Towing and Panel Beaters, was allegedly shot. There is a case number there provided. Jonathan David Thomas, driver at Durban South Towing and Panel Beaters, was allegedly shot, and I've got a case number. Marlon Stewart and Jonathan Thompson of Durban South Towing and Panel Beaters were murdered. I've got the Durban Central CARES number.
You said Thompson, it's Thomas.
Thomas.
And is it the same person referred to in 60.2?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Thank you.
And then there was a Calvin Peresami, the leader of the Blood Gang, owner of taxis and tow truck. He was fatally wounded on the 6th of June, 2018 at the Gateway Shopping Mall parking lot in a alleged hit by a rival gang.
Now, we'll get to the case you describe in 60.2 in relation to Jonathan David Thomas, Bele case 75/12/2021. But for present purposes, can you confirm that it was alleged that Bevan Loftus was involved in that shooting?
That's correct.
Then in paragraph 65, or from paragraph 65, you describe or you summarize the events relating to the killing of Mr. Loftus. Can you take the Commission through paragraph 61 and 62?
Okay, on Saturday, the 1st of April 2023, at about 1400 hours, 5 deceased were shot and killed by members of the task team under the command of Colonel Govender. The shooting occurred inside a flat in a residential building. The SAPS members allegedly identified the flat after arresting a suspect in Greenwood Park, CARES 194/03/2023. When the task team entered the flat, it is alleged that the deceased opened fire on the members of the task team who returned fire, fatally wounding all 5 deceased. Mr. Zondi was alleged to be an Inkabi or hitman. The 4 other men killed in the incident was Bevan Loftus, Ryan Santos, Chase Finn, and Michigan Hippolyte were involved in the towing industry. The task team members alleged that the deceased were also involved in the drug industry. The version of the task team members is that they were looking for one of the 5 deceased, who was Bevan Loftus, who was allegedly implicated in the following cases. Brighton Beach CARES 64/6/2022, which was a theft of motor vehicle. Brighton Beach CARES 242/11/2021, attempted murder. Berea CARES 28/1/2023, attempted murder. Bele CARES 75/12/2021, attempted murder. Berea CARES 23/2/2022, attempted murder. And Greenwood Park CARES 194/3/2023, murder.
Now, we'll get to these dockets a little later. But maybe if you can pick up from paragraph 65, where you set out the thesis that this killing actually was a killing performed by a task team at the instance of a rival drug gang owner.
Okay, Commissioner, during our investigation, we've interviewed the family members of the deceased, and more especially the family members of Bevan Loftus and Chase Finn and Michigan Hippolyte. We've interviewed them, and during our interview there was a recording that was given to us. A recording where a person by the Bevan Loftus contacted Clive Nyker, who is the owner of Roadstar Towing and Trucking. So he contacted Clive Nyker, and in that recording, he inquired from Clive Nyker why he put a 2.5 million hit on him. It's clear in the recording. He asked Clive Nyker, why you got a problem with me, and how is it that you put a 2.5 million hit at me? And in the recording, he indicates that he is aware that Clive Nyker engaged Dina Govender and his team to take him out. So with that recording, we then started to do the investigation, and we believe that due to this 2.5 million hit, Colonel Dina Govender and his team, they went all out looking for Bevan and the other 4 deceased. Now, in the investigation, the police has indicated, or Dina Govender and his team indicated, that they went into the premises and the 5 deceased shot at them. But from our investigation, it is not as they have indicated. The 5 deceased were in a premises that nobody could go through the premises. They were in a flat, and in order to go to the flat, you have to get permission downstairs. The security will have to let you to go into the flat after they've communicated with the occupants of the flat. So, would the deceased been in the premises, they would not have allowed the police to come through, because they knew the police were looking out for them to take them out. Because prior to the shooting, 2 of our members from IPAD received intelligence from counterintelligence that the police, same Dina Govender and his team, were going to take out Bevan Loftus and whoever is with him. So my 2 investigators engaged with the DPP's office to do a Section 205, a 252 operation. They wanted to do a 252 operation in order to trap the police to when they were going to do the shooting. But with the discussion of the DPP, it was not going to be possible. Because if the police was arrested prior to the shooting, they would say that they're going for investigation. And if you, the only way to have prevented him from getting shot and killed was to ask him to change the place where he was staying. The 2 investigators contacted the father of the deceased, and that's Mr. Greg Loftus, and informed him that they received this information, this intelligence from a reliable crime intelligence source, and they are passing that information over to him that they can now ask Bevan Loftus and his friends to change the address where they are. But the father indicated that they also received the same information, that the police was going to kill. In fact, prior to the shooting, the police had visited Mr. Greg Loftus's house more than 3 times. They went looking for Bevan Loftus. Constantly, they went looking for him. In one visit to the house, they indicated to the father that we're not here to arrest Bevan. We're here to kill him. They even told the father, you must prepare, go and get his funeral cover and insurance, everything in order, because they're going to kill him. That is what the father will talk about it when he comes.
Sorry, Mr. John, you speak about a an approach to the DPP and an attempt to set up a 242 operation.
252.
252, sorry. Do you have that correspondence? Is it documented anywhere?
I've got a statement of my investigator together with the diary entries when they went to the DPP's office.
We haven't seen those documents, so I think in the lunch, do you have it with you?
Yeah, I've got it with me.
I think in the lunch break, it would be important for us to see those documents and to get copies thereof. But maybe if we can go back to the statement, because I mean, you've sketched out your broad thesis, but there is, from paragraph 66, you set out some more detailed evidence, and I think that evidence is important to highlight.
Okay.
So can we pick up at 66?
The Commission has requested the AVL check-in records of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and the banking records of him and his wife. It has also obtained evidence of cash payments made on behalf of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender to conveyance attorneys attending to the transfer of a 2.35 million property in Isibaya, which he and his wife had purchased. The records obtained by the Commissioner shows the following. At the relevant time, the monthly take-home remuneration of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender from SAPS was less than 26,000.
Can I stop you there, and can we actually go to page 1246 of the exhibits bundle, 1246.
File 3, Mr. John. File number 3.
Okay.
File number 3 on page 1246. The spine of the file will say file
Number
3.
3.
Sorry, sorry. Last time we said we should only show the relevant transactions and not files the whole thing. I don't know if you are ready with that. If not,
We don't have a redacted copy. There's no need to flight this.
all right, thank you.
And if you look at the entry on 29 December, on that page, you will see the take-home salary that was paid to Lieutenant Colonel Govender on the 29th of December 2023.
That's correct.
And it is, if I can just point out to the commissioners that amount is less than 26,000 rands. That's the end of this period we're talking about. Can you then go to paragraph 66.2?
On the
And
sixth-
maybe before we go to paragraph 66.2, because you're talking about AVL records that reflect that Lieutenant Colonel Govender switched off his vehicle at a place 31 meters away from the address. It says Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender. It should be Mr. Naika. Can I ask you to go to page 1428? again in that same file, 1428.
The next one, file 4.
Mr. Chaskassin, you say the same file?
It is the same file, file 3. It is file 4.
It's a
I
different file.
apologize.
1, 4,
File 4.
Yeah,
File 4, and it's 1428.
Mr. John, did you make the correction in 66.2 where it says at a place 31 meters away from the address of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender, it should be
Yeah.
Mr. Clive Naika.
Do you have a bank statement at 1428?
No, I've got the bank statement at 1428, that's correct.
And it's a bank statement of Mr. Naika,
That's correct.
and it gives his address. We won't say what that address is.
Yes, the address is there.
If you then go to page 1427,
That's correct.
you will see that these are AVL records from SAPS. For whose vehicle are these AVL records?
Well, this AVL records are for the vehicle that Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender used.
And if you look at the GPS coordinates under incident location, are those the GPS coordinates of the address of Mr. Naika?
That's correct.
The address that we just saw in
Yes.
the bank statement?
Yeah.
So if you can then go through paragraph 66.2. I can keep 1427 open because I'm going to ask you to explain with reference to 1427. Keep 1427 open or to hand because I'm going to ask you to explain paragraph 66.2 with reference to page 1427.
Okay, on 16th of August at 1600 hours, 29 seconds, the SAPS BMW vehicle issued to Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender was switched off its ignition and stopped for 7.5 minutes at a place 31 meters away from the address, which is identified on the extract from the AVL records in the bundle.
And can you show to the Commission, if we go back to 1427, where do you see that?
You see it on the top first two lines. You got the first one, ignition off, and it gives you the address. And then you would see that there's a startup. So the ignition was switched off at 1600 hours, 29 seconds. And the startup was, the vehicle started again at 1600 hours, 07:50 at the same premises.
And that was on 16 August 2022.
That's correct.
Can you then take us through paragraph 66.3, but maybe before you go to 66.3, let's take the Commission to file 4, pages 1434 to 1435.
One, 4, 3, 4.
1434. Maybe, yes. Yeah. Just check if it's got bank account numbers redacted. show it. Now, can you describe what this spreadsheet shows?
Okay, these are cash deposits that were made into the bank account of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife, who is also a SEPS member.
And on the screen that's displayed, the column that says account is redacted, but there are various different accounts in the unredacted. And the references to the actual bank statements and their pagination in the record is in the bundle column, which is the fourth column.
That's
So
correct.
if I might, if we can just take an example. We see that on using the bundle reference at 1420, there are a succession of cash deposits into what is a home loan account. And if we go to 1420, we will see the bank statement for that.
That's correct.
That specific account, which will reflect those cash deposits.
That's correct, Commissioner.
Then in paragraph 66.3, in the subparagraphs of 66.3, you summarize the overall picture. Can you take the Commission through that summary?
Okay. Commissioner, the 63.3.1, between the 29th of August 2022 and the 18th of December 2023, cash deposits aggregating to 2,343,050 rand were made into the bank accounts of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife, who is also a SEPS member. Sorry, it's 2,034,350 rand. Correction, 2,034,350 rand. That's cash deposits.
Then 66.3.2.
66, okay. On the 15th of May 2023, cash amounts aggregating to a total of 179,800 rand for the benefit of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife were deposited into the bank account of the conveyancers, attending to the transfer of a 2.3 million property that they had purchased.
And 66.3.3.
On the 19th of May, another cash deposit of 200,000 for the benefit of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife was paid to the conveyancing attorney.
Now, just for the benefit of the commissioners, the conveyancing attorneys, as was their duty, reported these cash deposits to the Financial Intelligence Center.
That's correct.
And a letter from the conveyancing attorneys can be confirming that these cash deposits were indeed made, can be found at pages 1330 and 1331. Then 66.3.4.
On April, the 26th of April 2023, an amount of 298,000 462 rands was transferred into the home loan account of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender.
And are you able to source the origin of that transfer?
No.
66.4?
The cash amounts above aggregates to 2,414,150 rand.
66.5?
When the unattributed transfer of 298,462 is added to this amount, the aggregate is 2,712,612 rand.
And in 66.6, you refer to the bank statements and
Yes,
the spreadsheets. We've already taken them.
That's correct. That's correct.
Can you then go to paragraph 67?
67, on the 31st of March 2022, the day before Bevan Loftus was killed by the task team led by Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender, his father, Mr. Gregory Loftus, applied to the High Court, inter alia, to interdict Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and the SAPS from killing Bevan Loftus. Mr. Loftus was a former SAPS member. He owned the adjacent property on which he and Bevan Loftus lived. That's Mr. Gregory Loftus. He was a former SAPS member.
And can I ask you to go to file 1, page 4?
I'm with it.
And first, can you identify the document that you see starting at page 4?
Yes, this is the court interdict that was sought for.
And the stamp of the court on that document, can you identify that?
It's dated the 31st of March 2023.
And what day was Bevan Loftus actually killed?
He was killed on the 1st,
The next day.
the next day.
So this application was issued the day before.
That's
he was
correct.
killed. You say in paragraph, can I then ask you to go to paragraph 68?
In his found-in affidavit in the interdict application, Mr. Gregory Loftus alleged that Mr. Clive Naika had promised to pay Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender 2.5 million to kill Bevan Loftus.
Then can I ask you to go to the bundle itself and to paragraph 18 of that interdict, the founding affidavit and the interdict application, at the foot of page 17, paragraph 18.
During 2022, both Bevan and myself received information that there was an assassination contract put on Bevan's life in the amount of 2.5 million. I also received information from a policeman. I know that the hit on my son was genuine. The word was that I should be careful because if they cannot kill Bevan, they would kill my son, Nicholas, or myself.
Back to paragraph 69, and then maybe if you can take us through the whole of paragraph 69 and its subparagraphs, and I'll stop you from time to time to amplify.
I have been informed that Mr. Loftus will testify before the Commission, so I do not repeat the details that is described in the interdict application of the interactions between the Loftus family and members of the SAPS and between Bevan Loftus and Mr. Clive Naika. I merely emphasize the following features of the chronological that emerges from the affidavit of Mr. Gregory Loftus in the interdict application. The financial records obtained by the Commission and the investigation into the killings that IPID have subsequently conducted. Between 29 August 2022 and the end of November 2022, over 430,000 was deposited in cash into the accounts of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife.
Can I stop you then? Can we go to page 1434? And
Are you in file 4? Look
in
at
file
file
4.
4.
In file 4.
It's the thin one.
1434 and going over the page to 1435. Just the top two entries on 1435.
Okay, I'm with you.
Can you confirm that those cash deposits reflected on 1434 and going over the page to 1435 exceed in total 430,000?
From the 29th of August,
Which is the top of 143.
that's correct, right up to the 10th of November.
Then if you go back to 69.2,
On the 13th of December 2022, Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender, Warrant Officer Thanasekaran Sivan Naidu, together with other members of the task team, went to the home of Mr. Gregory Loftus looking for Bevan Loftus. The police officers cited Bel Air Cares 23 of 2, 2022 and Bel Air Cares 75 of 12, 2021 in relation to their search.
now we're going to go to these dockets now. In 69.4, you say they contain no evidence of consequence implicating Bevan Loftus. I want to put to you that it may be slightly overstated there. No evidence upon which Bevan Loftus could be convicted is what I want to put to you there. There is evidence against Bevan Loftus in these dockets, but it's not evidence on which a responsible prosecution would be launched, I want to submit.
Yes, the evidence that was contained in that docket was where his name was mentioned by the victim. And in one case, there was an alleged witness. But I think with both those statements, looking at the turf war between taxis and drug dealers, there is no conclusive evidence that would have convicted Bevan Loftus.
Well, maybe if we can go to those dockets, and if we start with the 2021 case, and if we can go to file 3, page 866. Maybe 865.
Yeah, 865.
Can you identify that statement?
This statement is made by the victim, Jonathan David Thomas.
And he describes on page 865 being confronted by a man telling him he's not allowed who wanted to know what he was doing there. If you pick up at the top of 866,
Yeah.
And this is the identification of Mr. Loftus's involvement, the first identification of Mr. Loftus's involvement.
Yes.
Can you read paragraph 5?
The person by the name of Kupan, he was working for Loftus. He went on further to say that his boss, Bevan, had made it clear that Durban South is not supposed to operate in the area. I know Bevan Loftus to be the owner of First for KZN. He then said that he will fall in inverted commas with me, which means that they'll get involved with each other. I understood fall to be a slang word which is used as a threat to someone's safety. At that point, I felt threatened because I know that they were capable of carrying out their threats. I then drove away onto the N2 northbound on North Ramp and proceeded to the same spot where I was static on the M7 Edwin Soils Drive. I was parked in the same position which was under the trees on the M7 Edwin Soils Drive on the grass verge facing west. I was seated in the vehicle in the driver's seat and waiting for the next call out. I was still emotionally disturbed. Around 14:30, I observed a grey Toyota Corolla which was driven past me at high speed towards the N2 bridge. The driver suddenly stopped about 100 meters ahead and then made a U-turn and drove towards Wakesley Road, which was at the rear. There were 4 occupants in the vehicle. They appeared to be males, but I could not identify anyone. About 10 to 15 minutes later, I observed in my rearview mirror a grey car approaching slowly. Other motorists were overtaking this vehicle. It appeared to me that this vehicle was experiencing a mechanical problem. This vehicle then stopped next to me, which was within a 3-meter distance. I immediately recognized Bevan Loftus seated in the front passenger seat. Kupan was seated in the rear left passenger seat, and I am uncertain who the driver was. The vehicle was a grey Datsun Go 7-seater model. I was unable to retrieve the registration number. I immediately concluded that they were going to attack me. Bevan and Kupan then drew pistol-type firearms and started to shoot at me. I immediately tried to hide and open my passenger door and managed to dive out. By them, I noticed that the vehicle was driven away, but they were still shooting at me. A little further down, they made a U-turn and drove back towards Wakesley Road. At that time, I was running into the bushes. I still had them in sight. After the vehicles disappeared, I returned to my vehicle. I immediately alerted everyone on the radio of the shooting. I managed to locate my cell phone in my vehicle when I heard it ringing. It was my manager, Lucky, who had called to find out what was happening. I explained quickly what happened and told him that I'm going to the yard in Sydney Road. I noticed that there were several bullet holes all over the driver's side of my bakkie. I quickly managed to pick up as many shell casings as possible. They were still hot. I placed them in a face mask and then drove away. I could not see the suspect vehicle anywhere in the vicinity. I then proceeded straight to the yard in Sydney Road. At the yard, I met my boss and his son and my manager, Lucky. I explained to them what had transpired. I also confirmed to them that as much as I was not injured, that I was very shaken up and emotionally. They parked the vehicle in the yard. I indicated that I did not require any medical attention or medical treatment at the time. My boss said that I could take a few days off from work. I took my personal stuffs as well as the shell casings, and Lucky then took me home, where I have been since. On Monday, the 13th of the 12th month, 2021, my boss called me and discussed an appointment for me with the police. I was not yet in a position to meet with the police the same day, so he confirmed an appointment for me for Tuesday, the 14th of December 2021 at 8 o'clock. On Tuesday, the 14th of December 2021 at about 7:30, Lucky fetched me and took me to the police station at about 8 o'clock. I was interviewed by Captain Ruplal, who then recorded my statement. I also handed all the shell casings to a female Captain Naya, who placed them in an exhibit bag with serial number. PA 600 400 7379 in my presence. I do not understand why I was attacked in the manner. Bevan is known to me for about 15 years now. I therefore desire a police investigation in the matter.
Now, so this is a statement that does directly implicate Bevan
Implicate,
Loftus. Is there any other evidence in the docket that implicates Bevan Loftus?
There's no other statement in the docket. 1 second. Is that Priya?
I can confirm it.
There's no other no other evidence that's implicating him, beside that one statement.
Can I then take you to page 888?
Sorry, Mr. Chaskalson, maybe before you move on, just from my understanding, Mr. John, what do you mean in the light of this direct allegation about Bevan Loftus? When you say there was nothing of consequence, what is lacking that makes you say, I mean, to me, a layperson, that kind of allegation seems to be of consequence towards something. I'm not talking about whether successful prosecution or not. Here's someone who says, I know him, and he was there, he shot me, and I took casings. What do you say lacks from this docket that makes you say there was nothing of consequence?
Commissioner, it's only the version of the victim. And we all know that this was a tough one in the taxi industry, I mean the tow truck industry. So his version have to be tested. What statement he make have to be tested against something, other evidence that's supposed to be obtained, or other witnesses. So yes, there is a link to Bevan, but there is no other evidence beside his statement, the statement of the victim.
Such as what? What would you have expected to be in the docket that would make you say, yes, there is something of consequence? Assuming the docket is still under investigation, what would you expect to find?
Commissioner, the police failed to do their investigation in terms of ballistic reports. They failed to do the tracking of Bevan's cell phone number to the area where the shooting took place. Also, even if the vehicle that Bevan was allegedly to have driven, possibly there would have been AVL or tracker report on that vehicle. So beside the statement of the victim, there is other investigation that the police are supposed to conduct to link Bevan to the case. And if you look at it, that this docket was opened in 2021, and Bevan was killed in 2023. So it is a lot of investigation that could have been put into the docket prior to the shooting and killing of Bevan.
So you're not, and maybe it's my mistake, before looking at the docket and reading your statement, I got the impression that what you're saying is there was nothing that implicates him in under that case number. That's not what you were conveying.
No, Commissioner, the only statement that implicates him is the A1 statement, that's it. And from the investigation, you basically got the A2, which is a copy of the SAP 13, where they ended in the exhibits, and then you got a ballistic report on the exhibits itself. But Bevan's firearm was not seized in order to match whether it's the same firearm. So there's nothing else in the docket beside A1, A2, and A3.
No, thank you.
And just to be clear, Mr. Chaskalson did correct part of your statement to say there is some evidence, but not sufficient to obtain a conviction.
That's correct.
Can I just also ask you to turn to the foot of page 888, spilling over to page 889.
Correct?
First, can you identify who's issuing, or under whose name those notes in the docket appear?
Okay. The entry that was made, that's on the foot of 888. It's an entry made by Captain Govender.
And how does Captain Govender come to be making entries on this docket? Are you aware?
Yes, when the task team decided to go after Bevan, they then went looking for dockets where Bevan was linked to. So they picked up dockets from different stations in the Durban area where his name has been mentioned, in order to possibly to use those dockets when they went looking for him and eventually executed him.
Can I just clarify something? I thought that specific task team, the DPCI task team, their role was to deal with drug-related issues. Now, if these dockets are not drug-related, why are they getting involved in these cases? Say it's an ordinary murder or an ordinary criminal case. Why are they getting involved in these dockets if their role is to fight drugs and drug trafficking?
Commissioner, they basically utilize these dockets to justify their reason for looking for Bevan.
But if they are not looking for him for drug-related cases, why are they even involving themselves in those dockets and those cases?
I got no idea, Commissioner, why. But these dockets, when the shooting of Bevan and the 4 other deceased, these are the case numbers that they gave us. And when the investigating officer in this case, most of these cases was investigated by a Sergeant Govender who fell under the task team. He was incorporated to work with the task team, and he was investigating these dockets.
Okay, thank
The
you.
only evidence in this docket against Bevan was the evidence of Jonathan David Thomas in his A1 statement.
That's correct.
Can I ask you to go back to page 25 of your statement, paragraph 60.2? $60.3.
Yes, okay. Marlon Stewart and Jonathan Thomas of Durban South Towing and panel beaters were murdered in Durban Central CAS 789 of 12/2022.
When would that murder have taken place if the CAS number, with that CAS number?
In December 2022.
Can you go back to the foot of page 888? And the note of then Captain Govender.
It says this entry was made on 2022, 12/2023. The 23rd of December 2022. It says docket inspection, finalize outstanding investigation, trace Bevan Loftus, task crime intelligence, see my entry in Bel-Air, CAS 23 of 3/2022. Information received that victim in this matter was shot and killed in Argyle Road, on the 20th of December 2022.
So can I just stop you at that point? So the only evidence in this docket against Bevan Loftus was the statement of Mr. Thomas. But to the knowledge of Captain Govender, Mr. Thomas had been killed on the 20th of December.
That's correct.
So he was no longer available to be a witness
A witness.
against Mr. Loftus.
That's correct.
Can we then go to the second case, the Bel Air 23/2 of 2022? That's at page 892 of file 3.
Okay.
At 898, once again, there is a A1 statement of Mr. Jonathan David Thomas.
That's correct.
Now, unfortunately, the copy in our bundle is practically illegible. We're going to ask you to give us a more legible copy, but can I ask you to confirm that once again, Mr. Thomas made a statement that accused Mr. Loftus of shooting at him?
That's correct.
In his statement, did Mr. Thomas indicate whether he was alone in the vehicle or whether he had a passenger in the vehicle? Did he mention a passenger in the vehicle?
No, when you read the statement of David Jonathan Thomas, he makes no mention of any passenger in the vehicle.
There is another statement that appears in the docket implicating Mr. Loftus. That's at page 899.
899, that's correct.
This one is legible. Can you read it?
Okay, it says here, I, Eugene Erasmus, states under oath in English, I'm an adult male with date of birth 1984/06/02, age 38 years, residing at 37 Quality Street, Wentworth. I do not have a cell phone and I'm currently unemployed. It states on the 5th of February 2022, at 6 o'clock I was with David Jonathan Thomas in the tow truck, Durban South Towing. We was parked along Edwin Swales Drive, M7 turnoff. While seated on my passenger seat,
On the
Commissioner?
on the passenger seat.
Yeah, on the passenger seat, I noticed a blue Inder vehicle that came behind us. Suddenly, I heard gunshots coming from behind us. I then looked in the back to see what was happening and to take cover. I saw Bevan in the passenger seat of the blue Inder with his arms out of the vehicle with a rifle and was shooting at us. I then took cover by laying on the floor, and I then screamed for David to take cover, and as soon as the shooting stopped, I opened the passenger door and ran out as I was fearing for my life. When I ran away, I thought David was with me, but he was not. I did not come back immediately because I was fearing for my life. When I came back after an hour, David was already rushed to hospital. I desire further investigation in this matter. I know and understand the contents of the statement. I have no objection in taking the prescribed oath. I consider the prescribed oath to be binding on my conscience. I swear that the contents of the statement is the truth, so help me God.
What's your comment on this statement?
When I interviewed the investigating officer, Sergeant Govender, who worked in the task team.
Sorry, Sergeant Govender, not...
Yes, no, Sergeant Govender.
Sergeant Govender.
So when I interviewed him about the statement, because I pointed out to him that this statement was taken on the 21st of February 2023, and the incident of the shooting was on the 5th of February 2022. So it was a year later that the statement was taken. And I pointed out to him that in the A1 statement, there was no mention of Eugene Erasmus. So I inquired from him, how did he come to know about this witness, Eugene Erasmus? And then he said he was informed by Dina Governor to go and take the statement. Also, when I looked at there's a statement of the ambulance personnel that was parked next to the tow truck. I don't see all the pages of that statement here. I can just point out part of the statement. Part of his statement is 897. Is on page 897. When I looked at that statement, the ambulance driver is talking about a white vehicle that looked like a Nissan Tida that sped off from the shooting. But he doesn't mention who was in the vehicle. So for me, this case also, it's only the statement of A1 that points out to, okay, A1 and then Erasmus, the statement of Eugene Erasmus that points out to Bevan that was involved in the shooting. But if you look at it, the statement of Eugene was taken a year later after the incident. However, A1 in his statement never mentioned about a passenger with him. It would be clear if you parked at 6 o'clock in the morning in a tow truck vehicle, you would know that you got a passenger, and you would mention it in your statement, that you were parked there at the Edwin Swales. Maybe you were chatting with your passenger, who is Erasmus. And even in the A1 statement, the A1 doesn't say anything about him saying Erasmus, take cover.
But it does mention Erasmus.
It doesn't mention Erasmus because, to me, I believe that he was alone at the time of the shooting.
Let's then go back to the main statement, paragraph 69.5. We're talking about the first visit to the house of Mr. Gregory Loftus in December 2022, 69.5.
On arrival at the premises, Mr. Gregory Loftus informed Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender that Bevan was not at home. The members of the task team forcefully broke the lock of Bevan Loftus, which was searched without a search warrant. Mr. Michigan Ippolite was inside the home of Bevan Loftus. He was allegedly waterboarded by the task team who wanted him to disclose the whereabouts of Bevan Loftus. Mr. Ippolite would later be one of the men killed on the 1st of April 2023. Members of the task team recovered an alleged stolen vehicle which was found on the premises. Gregory Loftus informed Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender that the vehicle was towed by one of the drivers being employed by Bevan Loftus and was being retained because the towing and storage costs remain unpaid. He claimed to have shown the SAPS members an advertisement in the independent newspaper indicating that the vehicle was to be sold to recover the outstanding cost. Members of the task team also claimed to have recovered a AK-47 AK-7 bullet from the property of Bevan Loftus. The task team arrested Gregory Loftus. Gregory alleged that Lieutenant Colonel Governor stated that Gregory Loftus would be released if Bevan handed himself to the police. Mr. Gregory Loftus was detained in custody before being released on the 22nd of December 2022. Bevan Loftus was informed that Clive Naika had offered Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender $2.5 million to kill him. On the 25th of January 2023, Bevan Loftus phoned Clive Naika to confront him about this. A recording of this call has been retained, and a transcript of the call is contained in the bundle, as appears from the transcript.
Before we get, maybe we could go to that transcript. It's at page 3 of the bundle.
Page 3 of which bundle?
File 1.
File 1. Okay, I'm on page 3.
And while you're at page 3, can I ask you also to go to page 42, which is part of the interdict papers, and just to confirm that the same transcript was part of the interdict papers.
That's correct.
Can we then read through the transcript?
Page 3.
442, the same document.
All right, the caller was Bevan Loftus, first for KZN Towing, and the receiver was Clive Naika Roadster. Date 25th of January 2023 between 5:30 and 6:30. Bevan Loftus speaks, he says, Roadster, Mr. Clive himself, how are you? Clive Naika states, yes, who is this here? Bevan Loftus says, lekker, lots of money, 2.5 on my head now. Clive Naika, who is this here? Who is this here? Bevan, you killed my uncle, you. Bevan Loftus, yes, and there's crosstalk in between. How you can phone Dane to tell Dane to set me up? Clive Naika, I phoned Dane. I don't even fucking know who Dane is. Bevan Loftus, yes, I never ever fought with you. I have no problem with you, but it looks like you are after me. You are paying Dino Govender. You are paying all the Carols to do all this thing to me. I never had nothing to do with you. I have never minded your business. I have got no flop with you. But Bali, you went out of your way to do all these things to me. You want to kill me and all that kind. Bali, where's the numbers? Clive Naika, I don't. Are you making allegations against me or you are telling me the facts? Bevan speaks, I am asking you, where are the numbers, Bali? Clive Naika, let's start off now. Let's start off. Bevan Loftus, I never fuck all to you. Check here, I done fuck all to you. Clive Naika, firstly, you are telling the people I killed Regan. Bevan Loftus, see, Bali, see how I took that. No flop, you want to kill me, right? No flop. The fastest live the longest, right? Lekker. And Clive say, what's that?
Now, in your statement back at page 30, you highlight certain features of the transcript from 6911.1 onwards.
From the transcript, Mr. Naika was initially unable to identify Bevan Loftus as a caller. Because if you see, when Bevan contacts Clive, Clive say, yes, who is this? But as soon as Bevan mentions the 2.5 million price on his head, Mr. Naika immediately identifies him as Bevan. So it shows that he was fully aware of the 2.5 million hit on Bevan.
But sometimes, for a few seconds, you may not recognize the voice of someone that you don't talk to all the time. But as they continue speaking, you may end up recognizing the voice. So I'm not sure that the inference you draw is necessarily plausible.
I get it from what you're saying, Commissioner, but when I look at it, immediately when the 2.5 million was mentioned, then Clive Naika say, who is this here? Who is this here? Bevan, you.
But you are repeating exactly what you say, and that's what I'm querying. So basically, you've not responded to what I'm saying to you. I'm saying what you say is not necessarily plausible, because it does happen that you may not recognize the voice of someone talking to you over the phone, someone that you don't talk to all the time. So you may, for a few seconds, not recognize the voice, but as the person continues speaking, you then recognize the voice. So it's on that basis that I say what you say is not necessarily plausible. So you cannot answer me by repeating what you've said.
I can. The reason why I indicated that, Commissioner, because this conversation was quick, very quick. It wouldn't be like where there was some time that Clive took to recognize a voice.
Has it never happened to you that for a few seconds you may not recognize the voice of someone that you know for a few seconds, but maybe within a few seconds you come to recognize the voice? Are you saying that has never happened to you? If you say so, I'll be very surprised.
No, it does, Commissioner, but it actually takes longer to recognize the voice, or maybe a longer conversation. But here, it was only like 2 lines. 2 lines, and immediately Clive recognized it was Bevan.
I'm not sure that scientifically one can actually time it and say you can only recognize the voice after a minute or anything like that. It just depends. Maybe within seconds, it may be longer, but I don't think scientifically it just has to be over this length of time.
I'll take your point, Commissioner.
And the fact that there was mention of 2.5 million should not change what you and I are engaging about. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Shaskelson.
69.11.3.
Okay, Bevan Loftus expressly accused Mr. Naika of paying Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender, who he describes as Dino Govender. And immediately before the call ended, Bevan Loftus stated, "The fastest lives the longest." On the 3rd of February 2023, the task team again returned to the Loftus family home, but Bevan fled the scene. According to Mr. Loftus, Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and Warrant Officer Sivan Naidu told him that Bevan had been involved in a shooting incident where Ox members were shot at earlier that day. They also accused Bevan of threatening to kill Captain Valley of SAPS Brighton Beach. According to Gregory Loftus, Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and Warrant Officer Sivan Naidu said that they had come to the property not to arrest Bevan, but to kill him. And they allegedly told Gregory Loftus that he should get Bevan's funeral insurance up to date because they were going to kill Bevan. They again searched the home of Bevan Loftus and again arrested Gregory Loftus. On the 1st of April 2023, a day after Gregory Loftus had issued his interdict application, members of the task team under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender arrived at the flat in Morningside, Durban, where they believed Bevan Loftus was hiding. The task team entered the flat. They alleged that Bevan Loftus and the other 4 occupants shot at the police, and they returned fire, fatally wounding all 5. Despite allegedly being shot at by 5 suspects, none of the members of the task team suffered any gunshot injuries, or indeed any other injuries. The shooting of the 5 occupants occurred between 12:30 and 1300 hours on the 1st of April. IPOD officials on standby were only called out 14:35. IPOD members on standby arrived at the scene at 1500 hours. On arrival of the IPOD investigator, Ms. Fortunate Ndembele, she was allowed entrance to the scene as the members from the local criminal record center was waiting to process the scene. Ms. Fortunate Ndembele stated that Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender was present outside the scene, and she requested to speak to the members who were involved in the shooting. Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender indicated that the members had already left the crime scene. No one knew the whereabouts of the members. The scene was processed whilst IPOD officials were present. The docket was subsequently registered, and the investigations were taken over by IPOD KZN.
Can I take you up on one issue? You say that none of the members of the task team suffered any gunshot injuries or indeed any other injuries.
Yeah, in fact, one member that was Pedro Rodriguez, his bulletproof vest had a gunshot hole right at the bottom. So there was one gunshot hole, which he alleges that was at the same incident. He was shot on that bulletproof vest.
And did he suffer any injuries on the day?
No, no injuries.
Was there other evidence, other than the injuries, evidence that the police were shot at, such as used cartridges, holes on the walls,
Yes.
damage to the property?
Yes, there were cartridges found from various firearms. The evidence of the cartridges found at the fire on the scene of those various cartridges is still being tested because Bevan Loftus had his own firearm, his private firearm. And one would, if you have a private firearm, you would not use an unlicensed firearm if you're defending yourself. Or if you're shooting at the police, you wouldn't use an unlicensed firearm. You would use your own private firearm. The issue here is that they did not know that police were coming to the flat because they did not give permission to anyone to come to the flat. Because remember, I indicated earlier on, is that the occupants of that premises must indicate to the security downstairs that they can allow people to come up. So they did not allow or indicate to the security for anyone to come up. They only indicated to one person, who was the person that was picked up by the police in Pinetown. They picked him up for a shooting that happened at Greenwood Park. And when they interrogated him, he indicated that he knows where Bevan resides, or where they were in hiding. So they took him to the flat, and basically he was the one that requested for permission to come up. So they knew that the person that's coming up is well known to them. So they would not be armed to start shooting at their own friend that's coming to visit them. So when the person went in, he knocked on the door and he went inside, then the shooting took place. Now he was first in line when he got into the house, but he was not shot at, he was not injured. But if you look at the photo album of the shooting, the police indicated that they retreated into hiding when they were shooting, but the 4 deceased was lying in a line. They were all lined up and they were shot at. If you see, some of the deceased have water on the clothing. It points out that they may have been tortured first and then killed from the photos that we are seeing.
So you are implying that the scene was staged?
That's correct. And if you look at the photos, you will be able to determine some of those things. I don't want to go too much in detail because the case is still ongoing. Even the post-mortem reports show that the shooting was from top to bottom. The post-mortem reports. What was also that gives us an indication that this could have been an hit is that the photos of the deceased at the crime scene circulated on social media even before even before LCRC, the local criminal record center, could get to the scene. The photos already circulated on social media. And that's how the families of the deceased came to know that their children died in that shooting. Now, it could have been that the photos were circulated to one person to say that we've done the hit now, you can do the payment. And that person could have sent it to everyone via his social media. That could be the reason why those photos went out.
I want clarification on 2 issues. You say they were lined up. The bodies were lined up. Can you explain what exactly you mean? Just explain being lined up.
They were lined up next to each other.
So,
Chair,
yes.
the pictures are in the bundle. They're not. They shouldn't be displayed.
No, yeah.
But maybe if I can ask you to look at file 2, page 699.
699.
$600.
99.
That's correct.
Yeah, I do see 3.
That photo doesn't depict a gun battle between the deceased and the police.
Yeah, there's one showing, I think, this part of the body, far left-hand side of the picture.
He was close to the...
A red T-shirt.
Yes, he was close to the balcony.
I'm not not altogether sure that I would say they are lined up, but I guess it's a matter of what? Interpretation of what one sees in the picture, especially if you look at the one on the far left, the
Okay,
one showing partly on the picture. But anyway, okay, that was the one issue.
Chair, the reason why
yes.
I indicated, Commissioner, the reason why I indicated this is that the police said that they came under fire by the
Yes,
deceased.
yes.
Okay. Now, looking at that, if they came under fire, all three of them would not have been standing at the same place. They would have been taking cover, maybe one in the room, one in the kitchen, if they know they're coming under fire. But here they were
Close, the bodies are close to each other.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And there are other evidence that's in this file that we don't want to disclose because it's still under, it still has to go to the DPP's office.
Okay. The other thing I want clarification on, you also said that someone who has a licensed firearm would not use their own licensed firearm to shoot at police. Did I understand you correctly?
In fact,
Or am I, or did you say the opposite?
the opposite, Chair.
Can you repeat the opposite?
Okay, if you want to defend yourself,
Yes.
you would not use an unlicensed firearm. You would rather use a licensed firearm if you have a licensed firearm,
Yes,
because then you are justified that you will use a licensed firearm in defending yourself. The justification becomes difficult when you use an unlicensed firearm. Where else you have a licensed firearm?
Unless you are hopeful that you just might escape, and therefore you use the unlicensed firearm so that nothing links you to your you use the unlicensed with the hope that you then do not get linked to your licensed firearm. So that too is a possibility, I would imagine, or not.
But if you're defending yourself, Chair, you're not going to use an unlicensed firearm if you have a licensed firearm.
But you are never sure that the facts will be accepted that you were indeed defending yourself.
Because
especially look what's happening here. The overall or the overarching picture is a picture of what? People who are involved in gangs, and one of your headings even refers to gang wars. So, in a sense, fine, he ran away because of threats. I don't know whether I'm not mixing up the cases. But if it's people involved in gang wars, they may well have been, or they could possibly have been fugitives. And if that be the case, one cannot just say one could only use their licensed firearm. Not if people were involved in gang wars and who possibly could even have been fugitives from the law. So you can say that about you, perhaps.
Okay.
And you are not suspected of any criminality, you've not run away from anybody, you are in your house and you are defending yourself. So you can make your statement about yourself in that kind of situation. But if you're talking about people that you say were rival gangs and drugs, towing gangs, and so on. So you're not talking about people who are like you. Do you see what I mean?
I agree, Commissioner.
So you cannot discount the possibility that one could use a licensed firearm in those circumstances.
I take your point, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Just, you offered an explanation, a possible explanation why the sin, this killing, would have ended up on social media before you were called, and before, I think you said even before the LCRC were called. And your explanation is that maybe it was to show whoever is the payer From evidence that we've had, and I just want to put this to you to hear what your comment is, from other matters, that the police in fact have WhatsApp groups in which they communicate to do with operations. We've had instances where certain pictures were shared with other people, and the explanation is, well, we shared in the group because to say we've done this operation. Is that something that you're prepared to entertain as a possible explanation, how this scene could have ended up on social media?
I won't rule that out, Commissioner. I'll take it as a possible explanation.
All right, thank you.
Should we take the adjournment now, Mr. Shaskalson, or do you want to cover
Chair,
something?
We're close.
Oh,
we are close to the end, so it may make sense to
All right, let's do
finish
this.
this.
Let's do it.
Mr. Selson, before you go to the end, if we go back to page 30, I think we've already dealt with the issue of the funds and how they find their way into and I assume Mrs. Cavender's bank accounts. What was not clear to me is who or what is the source of those funds. Did we clarify that?
It's all cash deposits.
So we
don't know
cannot
where the
link
cash
them
comes
to
from.
the person that we say was possibly paid to conduct the hit or to do other things. We can't link it to that person.
We can't link to any specific individual through the money flows.
Okay.
But what we do have is cash deposits aggregating to almost
2.7.
9 times the annual salary,
Yeah.
annual take-home pay.
And then that confirmation from the attorneys, it does not provide any assistance.
Again, it's cash deposits. It seems that the cash would have been deposited by a Lieutenant Colonel Govender and his wife themselves. Certainly, in some of the instances, that seems to appear from the bank transaction records. But where the cash came from originally, we don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. John, what remains is your conclusions from page 32 through to page 34. I wonder if you want to take the Commission through those conclusions.
Okay. The task team led by Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender operates under dubious circumstances with no clear reporting lines and structure. In cases where the deceased are shot for involvement in cash in transit ICE, there is often no meaningful evidence linking them to any such offences in the province. In most cases, no rifles, explosives, explosive device, banknotes, or banknote boxes are found on the scene of the shooting, as would ordinarily be the case in a cash-in-transit operation seeking out suspects. Despite members of the task team constantly alleging that they only opened fire after having been shot at by suspects, in the overwhelming majority of cases, there is no evidence of any SAPS member being shot, even in the bulletproof vest, except the one case in the Morningside shooting. In most cases of killings by the task team, IPID is not informed immediately of the incident, and the task members leave the scene of crime before IPID is able to arrive. This interferes with the ability of IPID to conduct its investigation. The modus operandi utilized by the members appear to be designed not to arrest suspects, to have them linked to an alleged crime that has been investigated but rather to kill the suspects. The existence of a task team able to kill suspects without any apparent consequences is a situation which is not only unacceptable in a constitutional state, it is also open to exploitation by organized crime gangs wanting to pay for rivals to be killed. The killing of Bevan Loftus, Cecile Zondi, Ryan Santosh, Chase Finn, and Michigan Hippolyte has a range of disturbing features that are consistent with a deliberate extrajudicial killing paid for by an organized crime competitor. The fact that on the 31st of March, the day before the killing of Bevan Loftus by the task team led by Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender, Gregory Loftus had an interdict application issued specifically to prevent the killing of his son by Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender. The fact that Bevan Loftus had been given an advance notice that Mr. Naika had allegedly offered a 2.5 million payment for his killing, and that in his call to Mr. Naika immediately identified Bevan Loftus when he raised the issue of the 2.5 million offer. Chair, can we take a break quickly? Commissioner, can we take a break quickly?
Let us do so. We'll come back when indicated. Please continue, Mr. John.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that indulgence. Commissioner, 79.2, the fact that Bevan Loftus had been given advance notice that Mr. Naika had allegedly offered a 2.5 million payment for his killing, and that in his call to Mr. Naika immediately identified Bevan Loftus when he raised the issue of the 2.5 million offer. The fact that on the 16th of August 2022, Lieutenant Colonel Dina Governor's car stopped and switched off its ignition for 7.5 minutes outside Mr. Clive Naika's home. The fact that in the 16 months following 16th of August 2022, over 2 million was deposited in cash into accounts of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife. Another 200,000 for benefits of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife was paid in cash into a trust account of the conveyance attorneys handling the transfer of a 2.35 million property which they had purchased. Another transfer of 299,800 rand was paid into the home loan account of Lieutenant Colonel Dina Govender and his wife, and the aggregate amounts so paid comes to just over 2.5 million.
Sorry, we add a zero to...
Yes, we add a zero to...
79.4.3. Please continue.
That's my last point, Chair.
Just ask, and you can say if, Mr. Chaskalson, if someone else will be testifying and making it clearer. You've spoken of Mr. Naika and Bevan Loftus in the context of gangs and towing truck and drugs. You've spoken to them in that context. Now, it's in your evidence, it's not clear, or you haven't demonstrated that Mr. Naika, for example, in acting and accepting for purpose of your evidence or my discussion with you, that Colonel Naika, not Naika, Govender, was indeed doing Mr. Naika's bidding. Let's assuming that's what he was doing with this operation. Where do we see that this is Mr. Naika as a gang leader and a drug, whether trafficker, operator, someone involved in that, utilizing Colonel Govender and his task team for that purpose? Because that connection would come close to speaking to our terms of reference, that kind of connection. But from the evidence, so far it looks on the face of it as a competing businessman in the tow truck business takes out a rival and uses rogue police officers. On the face of it, that's what it looks like from how you've testified. Are we going to be getting evidence that places this transaction that you say happened between Mr. Naika and Colonel Govender and his team in the context of gangs, drugs, and effectively infiltration of gangs of the police?
Chair, I think it's better for me to answer that question. The short answer is yes. There will be evidence to that effect. It will involve evidence of undercover crime intelligence operations, and it is evidence which will, at the instance of the witness, have to be held in camera, but that we will address there.
And it will speak to this transaction?
It will specifically to that issue.
Okay, thank you.
We're done for the day, Mr. Chaskalson.
I'm afraid we are, Chair. We finished sooner than anticipated, and our next witness is only available tomorrow morning.
Let's adjourn and resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning.